Dyscalculia is extremely frustrating. In case you're not sure what that is, dyscalculia is the most common analogy is that it's like dyslexia for numbers, but that's not quite correct. Um, there are two competing theories, if I recall correctly. One is that uh, people with dyscalculia have trouble with the grouping part, which is what I was going to talk about. That's the ability to take numbers that are similar, not the numerals, but the actual like groups of objects. Like, so say I had a bunch of dice and I rolled them, the ability to take all the ones and all the fives and group them together, right? So that's what I'm calling grouping. It doesn't have a, I'm calling these phenomena by names that I think are easier to understand. They generally don't have good common names, uh, which is a lot of what this series is going to be about. Is that some of the really fundamental concepts in mathematics don't have good common names. And they don't have good common names because they're skills that we usually learn before we start school. So grouping is the ability to take groups of objects that are the same size and be able to tell that they're the same size. And what I'm calling association is the ability to take a group of objects and associate that with the written numeral that represents that number of objects. Um, and these are skills that a typical human develops by the time that they're 5 or 6. They pretty much not completely developed, but a 6-year-old should be able to take like any group up to about 6 objects and associate it with the numbers 0 through 6. If you know a 6-year-old or somebody older than 6 years old that cannot do that, then you may want to get yourself checked out for dyscalculia. The standard disclaimer applies here. I'm not a doctor, and I'm definitely not your doctor. So I'm not going to be diagnosing anybody, but grouping and association are super basic skills that almost everybody can do, unless they have dyscalculia. And you should see a professional if you suspect that that's an issue that you have. And I would like to remind everybody that does not mean that you can't learn math. It just means that you're going to need different teaching styles because the standard United States public school system strategy of here are all the numbers to memorize, and then here's all the addition tables to memorize, and here's the subtraction to memorize, and right, the memorization is not going to do it for you if you have dyscalculia because you are not going to be able to connect the written numerals to the concepts of the numbers in your head, whether it's because grouping has failed or because association has failed. Uh, I don't think anybody knows that yet. Yeah, and that's part of the problem. Nobody knows a lot about it because this is something that's really only started being diagnosed relatively recently, right? We've known dyslexia for relatively quite a while. Uh, I mean, as compared to the history of language and mathematics, it has not been that long. But as far as modern medicine goes, we're we at least know how to diagnose dyslexia. Um, yeah, but it's rare for somebody older than about 30 to have even been evaluated for dyscalculia, right? If you had the misfortune to be in the elementary school system, 30, 40 years ago, you would have been written off as quote unquote bad at math. And that's really frustrating. That does not make me happy.